Welcome to the Future Rideshare Millionaire podcast. Today, we are an hour away from seeing exactly what Tesla has up their sleeves. I think that whatever they end up announcing will have a big impact on the rideshare community. I think that it may take a while for it to come out, but if you, historically speaking, betting against Elon Musk isn't something I would do. So he does have a lot of things that hopefully this event shows us he's capable of doing or not capable of doing, right? For our own financial sake, we don't want this to do well. So the more issues that happen today, the the more things that go wrong for Tesla in this sense, I think is better for us as drivers. Before the event starts, you see that the countdown says it'll be live in 58 minutes. Before that happens, I want to go through a couple of rideshare updates with you guys. Uber and Lyft has been busy in their press releases. There's some things that I think are beneficial for drivers that I think you guys really need to take advantage of. I've taken advantage of it, and I'm going to show you the like how that change has positively impacted me. And then there are things that Uber is planning on doing that I don't think is good. You know, that's not uncommon, but I think that it's going to trick drivers to do something that I don't think they should do. And then once we go through those updates, we're going to have a very self-driving car focused stream up until this event goes live. So I see Ron is here already. What's up? I hope you're doing pretty well. Let me go grab my phone. What I want to show you guys a trip that I took recently. But before we get there, I'm going to show you guys just some updates, right? Some important updates that I think everyone should know about. The first one is Lyft is unveiling improved pay measures to attract more drivers. Usually when Lyft do anything, right? It's always important to make sure that we're reading beyond the headline. We want to make sure that we're trying to take advantage of whatever new thing Lyft is doing, even if they're trying to take advantage of us. That's what I do. I anytime they come out with a new tool, I always say, all right, this might be a pay decrease overall, but I need to figure out what I can do to take advantage and hopefully make this increase my pay. So this one I think is a positive. I haven't seen any negatives from it yet. So it says Lyft is looking to make its ride hailing platform more attractive to drivers by rolling out measures such as higher pay for longer than estimated trips and prioritizing members with a safe driving record. I like this. Um, I know a lot of people don't, as independent contractors, they don't want to have to reach certain thresholds in order to make money. And I think that's a fair take. But the reality is, you play the game or you lose, or you exit, right? The goal is to exit the game eventually. But, if you're using Uber and Lyft, don't be stubborn here. Like, take what I'm about to teach you, what I'm about to show you, and implement it into your strategy moving forward. Because I've like before I knew this was a thing, I realized certain trips were paying better, and I'm going to show you exactly what one of those trips look like. Lyft is in fierce competition with Uber for both drivers and passengers. The two companies are trying to stay ahead of each other in their race to grab a bigger market share by offering a range of promotions, incentives, and benefits on their platforms. We have about 1.3 million or so drivers over the last year that had been on the platform. We've seen, hold on, an ad popped up. It says that we have about 1.3 million or so drivers over the last year that have been on the platform. We've seen pretty tremendous growth year over year. Our goal is to continue to grow that. Jeremy Bird, EVP of Driver Experience at Lyft, told Reuters. So, Jeremy Bird, I believe he was the person that was on the Rideshare Guys podcast this week. If you haven't seen that, you need to check it out. We'll talk about it a little bit afterwards. In this latest move unveiled on Tuesday, Lyft is introducing Preferred Drivers Program, where members with a higher safe driving score will receive more ride requests, a new earnings dashboard, and electric rides that are linked to battery range. I don't like this last one. I don't feel like drivers of a certain status should receive electric vehicle rides that are linked to battery range. I think that should be everyone, because that's a problem, period, right? that's a problem for the customer as well. Like, I don't think that's a good idea. I am for drivers with higher records getting paid more if it's a true pay increase. My gut feeling is that what Lyft and Uber are doing instead is they might be paying those guys less instead of paying uh, the top performers more. That's kind of where my gut goes. Of course, I have no proof. It says drivers will also be able to see the estimated hourly rate for each ride to help decide if a ride is worth their time and will get paid more for trips that are at least 5 minutes more than the estimated time. That's good. That's an overall win when it comes to the 5 minutes more than estimated time. I've seen that happen. I'll go through some of my rides that I've taken this week to show you guys an example of that. Drivers will be able to see the hourly rate. I think that's good. It's weird. I I get that Uber and Lyft has done a lot to take advantage of drivers, but it seems that no matter what they do, people always think negatively of it. And I get it. Uber and Lyft constantly put out new features that, is supposed to like they toot it as a feature for the driver, but it's like hiding the fact that it's a pay decrease. So I get it. And it's our job to determine how this thing fits into our strategies and if it's actually something that will help us make more money. I have a long-standing belief that ever since upfront pay came out, which I do believe was a pay decrease in disguise, but I also believe that drivers started setting certain standards for themselves that caused them to lose more money, right? So on top of Uber and Lyft paying us less overtime, I think that because drivers are looking at these upfront fares and they're making their own decisions about what's worth it or not worth it, it's causing some drivers to lose money. And I come across drivers on Facebook and on Reddit who say, if this ride isn't at least $10, I'm not taking it. But if it's a $10 ride and it's only going 5 miles, that's $2 per mile. Why wouldn't you take that? I think that we as drivers need to have a little more flexibility in what we're willing to take. And like, we need to have better goals and better like understanding of what's happening and what our financial needs are. So it says in 3 months ended June, Lyft added most new drivers in any quarter since 2019, including 34% more women and non binary drivers compared to the year period before. So that's good for them, right? I started during the pandemic and I learned very quickly as we were exiting the pandemic that the Uber and Lyft I jumped into isn't the regular Uber and Lyft. There are drivers who, have spoken to me on this channel and have told me that the pandemic was an anomaly. Where we were right before the pandemic is like where we are now. We're on the decrease. Uber and Lyft have struggled to get their driver base to where it should be, and supply and demand. When there are less drivers, it's more surges. When there are more drivers, it's less surges. So that's something they've been dealing with, and I believe that the pandemic expedited Uber and Lyft's concern for wanting to jump into automation even faster. Initially, they were saying 10 years. They were saying by 2030. It's I have to look at the calendar, see what year it is. It's 2024. And I think that we are progressing faster than uh, they anticipated. And it's happening. And a lot of drivers, they believe that it's not happening. And it's weird to eat like up to this week. I still see drivers saying it's still far away. One person said to me, "Hey, unless you live in California, Austin, and Atlanta, you don't have to worry about it for a couple of years." But guess what? 6 months ago, that person would have never said Atlanta and Austin because 3 months, less than 3 months ago, that was announced that that's where they're going. I even had a bet with one of my friends over on Twitter. She said, hit her up when self-driving cars crossed the Mississippi. And like a week after she said that, Waymo announced that they're coming to Atlanta. That's 5 hours from where I live, right? They're also going to Florida. So they're going to be in the South. They're going to come north next. They're going to be everywhere. And because it takes so long to restructure your finances, to figure out, what you want to do next, to change careers, you don't have as much time as you might think you have. But we'll continue with the story. Earlier this year, Lyft assured drivers that they would earn at least 70% of fares each week, a first for the US ride hailing industry. gotta clarify. Every time I see this, and I will clarify, they're claiming that we get 70% after external fees and insurance. So keep that in mind. It's not a true 70% for those of you who are watching. The company also said on Tuesday it had partnered with Merit America to enable drivers to take on free courses with Stride Health to help them find lower cost health insurance. Now, this is a win, right? I don't know about the course. I think people do need to have some education in this, but I have very inexpensive health insurance, and it's thanks to partly Uber and Lyft, right? Part of it, it's them, but it's really due to the tax structure set by the government. We get 65 cents, I think it's 67 cents per mile of tax write offs. And what that does is it makes our income look a lot lower than it really is. And it's like a tax safe haven for drivers, and it makes our income look very low, which makes me qualify for very cheap insurance. Very cheap insurance, right? Obamacare, Biden care, Trump care. That insurance, honestly, no hyperbole, no hyperbole. Well, it has probably saved my life. I probably would have had a heart attack by now if I wasn't routinely going to the doctor out of fear of the cost. And I definitely would be deeper into diabetes than before. Right now, last January 2023, I was diagnosed type 2 diabetes. I went to the doctor most recently about a month ago. I've been going regularly thanks to the insurance, and I'm no longer technically diabetic, right? Diabetes is measured by how much blood is in your sugar over 3 months, right? That's your A1C. And my blood sugar has been within normal ranges for over 3 months, which means I'm technically not diabetic. However, I still live as if I am, right? I watch what I eat. I make sure I'm eating more protein, eating less carbs. I make sure I'm working out. And this is one thing that the combination of rideshare plus government, right? Plus the mileage rate, plus the Biden care, it has been very beneficial. And I make videos about health insurance all the time, every year. And open enrollment is coming up. So if you don't have health insurance, you need to look into it. If you're fearful and you think that it's going to be too expensive, you need to look into it, right? Anyways, for those of you who are just joining, keep in mind the actual Tesla event doesn't start until 10. So until then, we're just going to go through some news updates and make some predictions about what's going to come from this Tesla event. So we'll get there, but we'll jump back into this article. All right, this article's over. Uh, so yeah, Lyft put out a press release saying they're gonna pay better for certain rides, and it's true. I'm gonna see if my phone is on, and I want to show you some rides that I took just this week, like on Monday, that I wouldn't normally have taken, and it made me very happy that Lyft is moving in this direction. Let me see if I can get it to pop up here. All right, so while that's loading, I'm gonna look at the comments, see what you guys are saying. All right, so Ron says we don't need any more drivers in Charleston. We're oversaturated as is. It's gonna keep going that way, right? Charleston is growing, which is good for drivers, right? Especially as the college grows, as more people come here for weddings, as tourism grows, it's gonna be great. But on the other side, more people are gonna become drivers, especially as the economy becomes harder, and especially as teachers. I think teachers love to do gig work in the winter, and they love to do gig work in the summer. So that plays a role into our saturation problems. All right, so I got it to work. I'm still pulling it up, so I'll read one more comment. Wizard says no drivers will not be replaced. I don't. So I'm not saying that automation is going to replace every single driver in the next, let's say, 3 years. I don't think that's what's going to happen. But what will happen is the same way we're concerned about just one driver joining our market. I want you to imagine what your market would look like if a self-driving car alongside humans was taking 100,000 rides per week in your market. I didn't make that number up. They are currently taking 100,000 rides per week in the Phoenix market. That's Waymo. I didn't make that up. That's real. And when you go into the Uber app to order a ride, alongside the human driver is the Waymo. People can pick the Waymo if they want. So they don't have to necessarily replace us. The bigger problem is they're gonna affect how much money we can earn, right? They're gonna start chipping away into it. And it's gonna become more competitive. I got a few articles that I want to show you guys. Ron says, so many train delays and drawbridges in Charleston, go unpaid extra time, hope that changes soon. I have seen Uber and Lyft paying better for delayed rides. I got stuck behind a train, and I'll show you. I'll just show you. So first I'm going to show you the ride where, Lyft is claiming that they're paying better for longer rides. And one of my favorite things to do when I first started driving Uber and Lyft was to take the longer rides. I used to have this app called Sketty. It would automatically match me with longer rides. It doesn't work anymore. Don't go and download it. It's still in the App Store. Don't download it. Don't give them your money. It does not work anymore. But I really did. I enjoyed the act of driving. And even though from a mileage perspective, it didn't pay as well, it was a nice change of pace when I've been, in the city, or if I needed to do a ride to take me away from traffic. I really did enjoy some of those long rides. And for the first time in a very long time, I took a ride that was about 5 hours, a little over 5 hours round trip. And I want to show you how much it paid. Pulling it up. Here we go. Yes, I took this on Monday, and there's no bonuses on it, no nothing. And for a 2 hour and 44-minute trip, I got paid $171.28. Now, of course, when you're looking at longer trips, you need to factor in the return. So, you know, well, so that's 4 hours, 5 hours, 5 hours, let's call it 5 hours and 20-ish minutes, right? So $171 divided by 5, it's like $30 and change. Not $30 and 30 something dollars and change per hour round trip. And that's pretty good, right? The mileage isn't great, right? I drove 123 miles one way. So that means 250 miles round trip, $471. That's maybe what, 70 cents per mile, 80 cents per mile, 60 cents per mile, somewhere in that range. So it's still not great on mileage, but I'm okay with that. My car's paid off, paid in full, and it's very great on gas. This probably took me a half tank to do, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's especially on a Monday night where here's what I do. When I decide whether or not I take a long ride, I think to myself, will I make more money staying in town for that duration or less? Right? If it's a Friday night, I probably won't take this ride. But on a Monday night, when it's slow, this ride is nice. It's guaranteed money. Um, it's just one passenger. I pick them up from the hospital. I do get a little worried when I pick people up from the hospital, so you don't want something to happen to them when they're in your car, which I've had that happen to me before. Someone was requesting oxygen, and that was a whole thing. But whatever. So I believe what Lyft is saying is true, that they are in fact increasing how much money we make on longer trips. And even if you guys watch the Rideshare Guys podcast with one of the Lyft execs that they had on their show, he did say that they're trying to price these rides better. So what this has made me do, I'm constantly, my face is always looking for long scheduled rides. The problem I have now though is the the app doesn't do a great job of, I'm trying to show you guys the scheduled rides. The app doesn't do a great job of, I'm not turning my permissions on. That doesn't do a great job of for the mid-range rides, right? I haven't seen a decent pay increase for the rides that are long but still within city limits, and I would like for that to get better as well. But no, I think that's a really good improvement, and shout outs to Lyft for it. So we're gonna move on to the next topic, but first we're gonna check how much time is left before the event starts. So we got 40 minutes before the Tesla event starts. We'll move on to the next story. All right, so Uber announces new way for riders to choose EVs and AI assistant. I'm not happy about this news. So, like I said, sometimes Uber and Lyft puts out news that's positive, and sometimes they don't. And this is one that I don't like, and I feel like it's gonna trap a lot of rideshare drivers into making bad decisions. So it says Uber announces plans 4 years ago to become a zero emission rideshare platform by 2040. Rideshare platform Uber on Tuesday announced that the company is taking new steps to promote the use of electric vehicles on its platform. Uber announced it will now allow riders to choose only rides in EVs through a new all electric version of its Uber Green platform, which has previously included hybrid options. So the hybrid cars are gone, they're not involved here anymore. It will also roll out a feature that lets users set an EV as their preference when there's only a few minutes difference in terms of ETA compared to a standard Uber X while using gas powered vehicles if the wait time is longer. Translation: if you have an EV, you can probably get better rides, right? If there's no big discrepancy between the wait times and you have passengers who care about driving in an EV, and I'm pretty sure, depending on where in the country, you're gonna have a lot of people that care, and some parts of the country you're gonna have people that don't really care. But it's an interesting thing to do, right? I don't blame Uber for doing this on the green perspective. I don't blame customers for wanting this. EVs are currently still too expensive. And I think a lot of drivers are going to read this and they're going to say to themselves, I'm going to go out and go into debt on a depreciating asset because Uber, right? Despite the fact that I feel Uber is paying me less over time, I'm going to go spend 40,000 on a car, take out the loan, take out the debt, and get an electric car instead of something else because of this feature, because I might get more rides. I'm worried that that's the interpretation a lot of drivers will have on this. So the article says, after launching Uber Green with EVs around the world, we now have enough EV drivers on our platform to make an EV only option in 40 plus cities globally, right? And I'm going to tell you what cities they're coming to in America very soon. Riders will be able to choose an EV for about the same price as Uber X. But what does that mean for those of you who have spent a lot of money? You know, is this going to be subsidized? Is Uber going to take the hit? Or drivers going to be paid in their expensive electric vehicles the same amount that someone who is in a Prius is going to make, right? So it sounds great for the customer, it doesn't sound too great for the driver. Love the EV experience, but not the occasionally longer ETA. We're introducing a new feature that allows riders to set their preferences in the app and get matched with an EV anytime one is nearby. If the ETA is within a few minutes of standard Uber X, your EV ride will be on the way. Set it and forget it. So that does confirm if you have two drivers who are relatively close to the same passenger, the driver who has an electric vehicle will get the ping, whereas the driver who doesn't will not. So for those of you who currently have electric vehicles, this is very, very, very good for you guys. For those of you who don't, please don't get another electric vehicle for Uber and Lyft unless you can get a really good deal on it, unless it's used, and unless you're paying in cash. If you have those things check marked, go ahead and do what you got to do, but do not go further into debt to play this game with Uber. So that's pretty much it for that story. We are going to move on to the next. So Uber team, we're gonna start diving more into the self-driving theme of the night. As we get closer to the start time for the Tesla event, we're gonna focus a little more on the Tesla event. But let's do one more Uber. So it says Uber teams with what's that? Avride, Avride, Avride. I don't know. We'll see. Uber teams with Avride to offer self-driving vehicles for rides and food deliveries. It says Austin, Dallas, and Jersey City will be the testing grounds. I don't think that anyone is servicing the Northeast yet, and I think Jersey City is probably going to be the first one where they have automation for driving happening. But the thing that's bothering me before we even get into the story is that I think Uber as a company is making a very smart decision. They've decided that their own investments into self-driving cars didn't work out very well. Someone who was behind the wheel of a self-driving car wasn't paying attention. She was on her phone and she struck an old lady, killing her. I think it was in Phoenix. It might have been Vegas. And so since then, they haven't really invested into their own autonomous platform. But Uber is shifting from a company that wants to provide their own self-driving cars to a company that wants to host other self-driving companies' cars on their platform. So right now in Phoenix, if you pull up your Uber app, you can order a Waymo self-driving car that's made by Google. And now we're seeing they already announced Cruise, which is owned by General Motors, announced that next year they're going to be offering their own cars, the Cruise cars, on the Uber app. So that's already two companies, right? Now we're just learning about a third. This AV ride is coming, right? Waymo already announced they're coming to Austin next year, right? They said they're coming to Austin, they're coming to Atlanta, and they're coming to Florida. So now you have another company coming to Austin and another company coming to Dallas, and it's going to be through the Uber app. Guys, if you're in this city, you have problems coming. Even if they don't work well, even if they don't go everywhere, they're going to eat into the average amount of rides that a human can take, and it's going to lower your income. For those of you who are not in these cities, don't slack, right? Get your money together, get your finances together. One morning you will wake up and you will read a news article about one of these companies coming to a city near you. And it's going to forever change the dynamics of your city. It might be slow, right? It might take 6 months, it might take a year. But like I said earlier, it takes time to redo your finances. It takes time to save money. It takes time to learn a new trade, to go and get a new job. All of that takes time. And you need to start preparing for the worst now, even if it never comes, right? If Tristan is wrong, I don't know Tristan doesn't know what he's talking about. I would rather be wrong and encourage you guys to stack up your money, pay off your debt, figure out what your exit strategy from rideshare will look like, than for me to be right and you not to have done that. I want you guys to be financially okay. I don't think there is much that can be done to stop what's happening. We might be able to slow it down, but automation has always happened, right? Even the ATMs is the automation of the bank teller, right? That every industry faces a degree of automation eventually, and it's our turn. It's happening. We have to stop pretending like it's not. Uber has entered a new deal to offer customers in select cities an option for self-driving vehicles. The partnership is with Avride, which used to be the self-driving unit for Russian conglomerate Yandex. The multi-year deal will begin by introducing Avride's self-driving robots as a delivery option for Uber Eats orders in Austin, Texas. And that's really bad for those of you who are doing like food delivery. First of all, food delivery never even paid well. So we can start there. And now the pay's gonna get even worse, miraculously, when you have these little robots delivering foods on your behalf. Later this year, the robots are expected to become available for delivery orders in Dallas and Jersey City. Autonomous driving is slated to begin service for Uber ride requests in Dallas in 2025. That's next year. Next year. It will only be an option for qualifying orders on either Uber or Uber Eats, but the company didn't specify what those qualifications are. They're probably just testing it. And as they test, they will expand. Before spinning out as a new business concern, Yandex landed a similar deal in 2021 for self-driving robots to make Grubhub deliveries to college campuses in the US. That year, its autonomous vehicles reached a milestone of 6 million miles logged under challenging conditions, mostly traveled in and around Moscow. Uber had its own department exploring self-driving vehicles. However, it sold the unit to Aurora, another autonomous vehicle company, in December 2020. That's after they hit that lady. So like I'm not trying to ignore the fact that these autonomous services, they have issues, right? They have issues that they have to overcome. But they're coming, right? Those issues are gonna get fixed, and they're clearly coming. And we're gonna actually see tonight. I think Tesla, out of all the companies we spoke about so far, is the best situated to execute if they can get out of their own way, right? And here's what I mean by that. There's a couple of articles here that we have lined up. that exemplify what issues Tesla has going on. But before we get to them, I want like one of the main one of the main talking points I've heard from drivers online is that they won't take an autonomous car. But they don't understand that they don't represent everyone. And I have purposefully been doing research into how the general public feels about autonomous cars. And I've covered some in the past already. But I always thought to myself that there's probably one group of people who are probably going to be more likely to take a self-driving car than everyone else. And I think that's women. So we have an article here that kind of details that. It says, are taxis safer with no driver? These women think so. Some women say they prefer taking driverless taxis because they don't have to deal with safety concerns they have about human drivers. Keep in mind, majority of the human drivers are male, and women do take those rideshare services. And let's be honest, sometimes men are creepy. And even when they're not, if women have the choice of getting into a car where they don't have to deal with it at all, don't have to risk let's just say it's 10%, let's say it's 5%, let's say it's 1%. If they can get into a car and not have to deal with that, why wouldn't they? Right? This makes sense to me. Autonomous taxis are winning over women in cities like San Francisco by offering an answer to a long-standing concern about ride-hailing apps: misbehavior by human drivers, especially men. They could have just skipped the human drivers part and just said men. Some women said in interviews that they've mostly stopped using Uber and Lyft, the most two popular rideshare hailing apps, and have switched instead to a driverless competitor, Waymo, at least in part because they don't have to share physical space with an unfamiliar man behind the wheel. So, I'm a man. Most rideshare drivers are men. This is going to cut into our earnings. An autonomous taxi software drives the car with no human present. Thanks. Just in case we didn't know that. Veronica Pastor, 40, a nonprofit worker in San Francisco, said she switched to Waymo about 6 months ago and that it's now her default choice when she needs a ride. So that's another thing I want to talk about. All right, let's just start over from the beginning. Generally speaking, no matter the industry, no matter what it is, humans tend to be resistant to change, right? I'm not the kind of person, but I've observed that in a lot of people. They don't like change. And it reminds me of a story. There's someone on Facebook who I was interacting with. He said, I think that we should be able to vote on whether or not we want self-driving cars on the road, right? And my response to that was, Ford. He's a person, Henry Ford. He created the first automobile Ford was named after him, right? If Henry Ford did a survey and he asked everyone what they wanted, everyone would have said faster horses. They wouldn't have come up with the idea of a car. And that's kind of like what's happening here, right? People would probably resisted that change for a while, but it became the standard. And it's very obvious that people like things to stay how they are, even though we all live in a world where we benefit from things that were changed from the past, right? Cell phones, they took a while to kick off, right? People were resistant to them, but they did it eventually. People used to be resistant to seatbelts. Now, like you're like in the minority if you're not wearing one, So it's like people are going to be slow to try a self-driving car, but I have a very strong feeling that once they do, they're probably not going to go back, right? And that's not going to be everyone. Some people will try it and like, nah, it's not for me. Might have to try it a couple more times as it gets better, and then they'll be on it. And the thing is, for people who enjoy it, that is a permanently lost customer for human drivers, right? A woman getting into a car, the car gets her home safely. What incentive does she have in the future to take a human ride? What is there, right? There may be some issues that pop up with these self-driving cars. We've seen them, but they have improved in a very short period of time. So people might be resistant to it. People might say today that they will never do this, they will never do that. That's common. It's also common for them to eventually change their mind, try something new, and then stick with that new thing. Why? Because once they try something new and they like it, they're resistant to change. So keep that in mind. She says that concern about drivers is one of the reasons why she is forever taking self driving cars. And here's a quote from her: "I've been in one late night and thought, this is great. I don't have to worry about a stranger taking me home. This is great. I don't have to worry about a stranger taking me home." Pastor said some of her friends have had scary experiences with ride hail drivers, and she feels fortunate not to have. It's always in the back of my mind, she said. So here's an example of where she herself hasn't had a negative experience with the human, but the stories that she has heard from those who have has motivated her to try this thing, to try self driving cars, right? And that's important too. That word of mouth is extremely important when convincing people to try something new. Reported violence by a ride hail or taxi is rare. Lyft and Uber say that reports of safety violations, which they define as a fatal crash, fatal physical assault, or sexual assault, ranging from non consensual kissing to rape, occur in about one ride out of every 500,000. But like, there's weird, like there's things that people will try to avoid that don't fall into these categories that they're not monitoring. It's the weird question. Can I have your number? Do you want to go on a date? These things aren't monitoring that weirdness that men do around women. The most serious violations are especially rare, and in some instances, drivers are the victims of violence, not the perpetrators. And that's true. All right, that's true, but that's not what we're discussing right now. But even if the chance of driver violence is low, some women said in interviews that they'd rather not take the risk, especially if a driverless option is available. Some also said they worried about behavior that doesn't show up in company issued transparency reports, such as an unwelcome flirting. I just said this. I promise you I didn't read all this. I just said this. Like, Uber and Lyft putting out statements to protect themselves, fine. I get it. But you're hiding the real issue for starters. And then the second issue is Uber is the one providing these self-driving options. They're playing both sides of the ball right now. And the potential risk affects more people than cisgender women, as some men, non-binary people, and transgender people have reported similar concerns. Now, these driver safety concerns are helping to fuel the popularity of autonomous taxis, especially for women traveling alone or at night. Abby, 23, said she's had a creepy experience with multiple drivers from ride hailing services, including male drivers asking her prying personal questions and one asking her on a date. A data analyst in San Francisco, she said she now uses Waymo's Robotaxis when she's not driving her own car or taking transit. It's easier to feel like you're on your own in your own space, she said. Robotaxis operate similar to Uber and Lyft, with ride hailing a ride via an app by putting in their location and their destination. Waymo does have their own app, but I think they use their own app in California, but in Phoenix, you can actually get them through Uber. In Waymo's case, the fleet is generally standardized, with riders always getting the same make and model of vehicle, which this is a problem we'll talk about a little later. The price rises and falls with demand, and riders said their experience is that robotaxis cost about the same as a Lyft or Uber rider. Some of the things I've seen is that at worst, they cost similar. At best, they're actually cheaper than Uber and Lyft. About 3/4 of Lyft and Uber drivers are men, according to the industry and academic surveys. In online forums where drivers for ride hailing services discuss their work, many posters are pessimistic about their own futures as drivers, including because of what they call the potential safety benefits of autonomous drivers. What is that? What potential safety benefits are they talking about? Or we'll look at that later. Well, that's something we'll just have to check out later. I got a big ad for Mr. Beast. All right, hold on. That kind of threw me off. All right, you get the gist. Women feel more comfortable taking self-driving cars, and we're gonna watch month after month how the public switches how they feel about self-driving cars. And if you're not doing what you need to do financially, it's going to be real hard for you to pivot when it's time for you to pivot. All right, so we have 20 minutes before the Tesla live stream starts. Let's I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. So earlier I spoke about how Waymo is coming to Atlanta. It looks like it's starting already. It wasn't supposed to start until 2025. And so this one says Waymo is coming to Atlanta, but not for everyone. Let's see what they mean. Atlanta will soon receive a fleet of autonomous robotaxis, but wheelchair users can't take part, calling Georgia's rideshare accessibility into question. Atlanta will have a fleet of autonomous rideshare vehicles through an Uber and Waymo partnership starting 2025, but the cars won't be by wheelchair accessible. Self-driving robotaxis are heading to Atlanta through rideshare service Uber beginning in 2025, but the driverless cars aren't likely to be for wheelchair accessible. For residents like Cardin Wyckoff, it's a blow, and it's already lacking number of transport options for wheelchair users in the city. All right, I'm not going to go through this article. I thought this article was something different. Don't think I'm servicing a lot of passengers, right? My audience isn't passengers. This is a passenger based story. When it's Waymo, is Waymo in? I'm pretty sure it's like operating in Atlanta already. Like testing has started. Is Waymo already in Atlanta? That's the story I thought it was, but we'll see if I made something up. So no, Waymo's not in Atlanta yet, but starting early 2025. Okay, so it's not there yet. I was wrong on that. Oh, so all right. So they are in Atlanta. They're testing in Atlanta. They're just not available for public use in Atlanta. So that's the Waymo. This is in Atlanta. This was 6 months ago. So they're already testing there. You can see the Highway 75 sign. That's Atlanta. So yeah, it's real, man. Like that's 5 hours from me. It's a 5 hour drive from me. That's East Coast. So it's coming. Let's see what we got next. So the next story we're gonna read is Alphabet's Waymo strikes major deal ahead of Tesla Robotaxi event, which stock will be the real Robotaxi winner. So Waymo is Google. For those of you who don't know, they're owned by Google. It says while investors' focus has been on Tesla, Waymo has quietly taken the lead in robotaxis. In a move that stole some thunder from the big robotaxi event that has scheduled for Thursday evening tonight, it's real late for an event, but the event's in California. So here we are, almost at 10 p.m. Waymo unit last week announced a major robotaxi related deal with South Korean automaker Hyundai. So right now, the Waymos are Volvos, and they're really expensive. One major hurdle I think Google has that they have to figure out and deal with is that they don't make their own cars. So if they can partner with someone else who is doing a good job with like electric vehicles, which Hyundai's Ioniq series is really good. They are really nice. If I didn't want a Tesla, that's probably like where I would go next, would be the Hyundais. And so creating this partnership is good for them, but I still think Tesla's in a better position. And so is GM's Cruise because they manufacture their own cars. While a lot of the recent news coverage around Alphabet is the parent company of Google. While a lot of the recent news coverage around Alphabet has focused on the antitrust and anti-competitiveness probes into the company, self-driving focused Waymo is quietly becoming a potential important asset for it. And despite the attention electric vehicle leader Tesla gets for its robotaxi ambitions, it's possible that Alphabet might wind up the real winner in the space. Here's why. Before we even get to why they think Alphabet might end up as the winner, right now they are the winner, right? They are the only self-driving company to according from what I've read that's taking rides right now. So they're ahead of everyone. And they've been working on this technology for a long time. Possibly before Tesla even like existed. I remember they bought the self-driving thing very long time ago. It's just a very slow ramp up. So in that sense of technology, they're ahead. They're already on the roads. They're averaging 100,000 rides per week in Phoenix. That's a lot. So like there's no one else operating at their scale. That doesn't mean they'll win long term. Again, they don't have their own manufacturing process. But right now they are the winner. So I'm not sure why this author thinks they might like end up the real winner. Like they're the only participant right now. They're the winner by default. But we'll see at 10 o'clock if that changes. Under the new multi-year strategic partnership, Hyundai will incorporate Waymo's latest autonomous driving technology into a significant number of electric Ioniq 5 SUVs over the next few years, vehicles that are eventually destined to become part of Waymo's Robotaxi fleet. These vehicles will be assembled by Hyundai's soon-to-open manufacturing plant in Georgia. That means more jobs. Waymo plans to begin on-road test drives of the EVs in late 2025 and expects to deploy them as part of its Robotaxi fleet in the following years. So I just had like a brain spark. I just had like a light bulb moment going on. These are probably the cars they want to put in Georgia. And these cars are probably going to end up in all over the East Coast. Well, this makes sense now, right? The manufacturing plant is in Georgia and they're going to Atlanta next in early 2025. This is all lining up. That's pretty good. Hyundai just so happens to be the number 2 maker of EVs in the US with about 10% market share when including its Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis brands. Its $7.6 billion Georgia facility is expected to contribute to further EV market share gains. Let's see. Where is Hyundai? What is it? Ioniq factory in Georgia. It's in Bryan County, right outside of Savannah. That's less than 2 hours from me. Less than 2 hours from me. One thing drivers should think about is that this new industry of self-driving cars, it is going to create jobs, even though it's going to take away jobs, you know? So figuring out if this is something you want, figuring out how you can go and be part of the change instead of just a victim of the change could be useful. You know, if you live in Bryan County, if you live in Savannah, these people are probably hiring, right? Once the self-driving cars are out there, they're probably going to need to hire people to monitor them, people to clean them, people to do things with them. So, you know, in one sense, that's good. But I do think that the rideshare industry, it's a threat. It's a huge threat. And I just feel so bad for people who don't think it is, and they're not doing anything to like further themselves financially or like with education. Those are people I feel horrible for. Horrible for. All right, so we got about 13 minutes left. We're gonna do some speed runs, possibly make some predictions before this live stream gets started. I'm actually getting a little excited. 12 minutes left. So Tesla has been having some issues, right, leading up to this event. In the past week, 4 of Elon Musk's direct reports have announced their exits from Tesla. They quit. I don't know why they can't just say that. They quit. So Tesla has been shedding executives ahead of the Robotaxi event, which 4 of Elon Musk's direct reports announcing over the past week that they were leaving or had already left the company. So that signals to me that there is something about this announcement that is making them quit their jobs, right? I feel like we're not going to get what we think we should be getting. And, you know, this is an event that had been delayed twice already. So there's a lot of like eyes on this event. Like I fully expect the live stream to crash because I expect like a lot of people in the world to be interested in what's going on. And I don't think it's going to, I think they're rushing it. And I don't think they need to rush it. And I think because they are rushing it, it's not going to go well for Tesla tonight. Yeah, I don't think they're going to enjoy what's going to happen tonight. Tesla employees were informed on Thursday during an all-hands meeting that the chief information officer, Nagesh Saldhi, was leaving the car maker after nearly 12 years at the company. 3 workers told Business Insider the workers, and we just got hit with the paywall. Dang. All right, we'll just move on. We have similar stories to this. The next one is Waymo hires Tesla's head of vehicle programs ahead of Robotaxi unveiling. So one of the people that left went to go and work for Waymo. So that's going to be a big benefit for Waymo, and it's not looking great for Tesla. Oh, look at this! This is their the concept car. I don't know if this is the car Hyundai is going to be making for them, but I believe they're trying to get specific cars made, which should drive down the cost of the manufacturing process, which hopefully puts them, hopefully for Google and what they have going on, puts them in a better position not hopefully for us. We want these things to fail as long as possible so that we can pivot and save money and do what we need to take care of in our finances. Waymo has hired Tesla's former head of vehicle programs responsible for product and program management of all Tesla vehicles just ahead of Tesla's Robotaxi unveiling. Daniel Ho is an aerospace engineer who went into an autonomous product planning career starting with a 12-year stint at Ford. So he's been around. In 2013, shortly after the launch of the Model S, Ho joined Tesla to lead the program. He oversaw the launch of the Model S dual motor Autopilot 1.0 and P90 Ludicrous programs. I think this led Tesla to get a lot of sales. So shout out to him. Autopilot is very a hot topic right now because a lot of people are saying that what they were promised they haven't received. And first, I want to say, do not buy something on the promise of future updates. I am worried that Tesla is gonna launch their self-driving car, and people are gonna be like, "Huh, I want to be part of that," and they're gonna go into debt and order these cars, put big down payments for these cars, and the technology to have those cars operate not even working. Don't fall into that trap tonight. Don't do that. Don't fall into that trap. Period. Right? If you want to get in on this, make sure your finances are straight. Make sure your household is taken care of, and you do it in cash. If you can't do it in cash, you shouldn't be doing it at all. I don't think this is something we can afford to gamble with. That's just really what it is. And again, I don't know what's happening tonight. I don't know what's gonna happen in the next 9 minutes. But don't get excited and open your wallet. Keep your wallet closed and just we'll see. I'm doing a lot of like guessing here, but we'll see. I don't want to read about his entire history. All right, so it says that said, there were several reports of Elon Musk chaotically firing teams and then having to rehire them after the fact. So it sounds like there's some turmoil in Tesla. Things aren't going the way Elon wanted to, right? We've had to push back the event a couple times. So I'm assuming that Elon wants something done and it's not getting done, and he's taking it out on his team. Mike B says, my question is, if it's illegal to sleep in your car with auto drive, why are these cars allowed to do it? I don't know. That's actually a really good question. Is it illegal to sleep in car with auto drive? That might be state specific. It says yes, even with an auto drive feature, it's still considered illegal to sleep in a car while driving, as you are still legally responsible for the vehicle and must remain alert. So Mike B asked a very great question, which I don't have an answer for. That's actually a very good point. It could be that these cars are monitored by people, real life people. That could be part of it. I don't know, but it's definitely gray area. And because the government always moves slower than society, um, we don't really know. There's a lot of things that they're going to be able to get away with, and safety is always a concern, but so is progress, right? Laws can stagnate progress. So I don't know. It's probably a very catch-22 area that we're playing in. That they are playing in. So the next article says Tesla may not even have a real car at its Robotaxi launch event. Maybe this is why everyone is quitting, right? So we're going to find out in 7 minutes. The company may instead show some very pretty pictures of cars that might someday exist. That's going to hurt their stock. But I will say, there has been some camouflaged cars out there in the wild that are probably the specific model that they're making. So I don't doubt that they have I think it'd be more than pictures, right? I think that they have something that looks like the thing that they want to introduce as the Robotaxi, whether or not self-driving works the way it should work for that platform to exist. But I don't think we're just going to get pictures. If we get just pictures, I feel really sorry for Elon. Like, he's going to have a very, very bad morning. Tesla has big plans to release a company-saving Robotaxi next week, leveraging the incredible advantage in autonomous technology that the company swears it has in order to prevent the whole house of cards from tumbling down. The Tesla faithful hoping to see a real-life Robotaxi might be disappointed. However, new analyst info says that Tesla may be showing off nothing more than renderings. I have a little more faith in that. I really do. Tesla investors over at Deepwater Asset Management, an investment firm focused on transformer. I don't care about the investment firm, guys. This list included not one, not two, but three new Tesla models. Certainly a bullish expectation from a company that's released 6 consumer facing models ever. That's a good point. Among all the optimism, however, there's an interesting prediction. Tesla will have a physical, semi functional prototype of the Robotaxi on display. I believe this. I do believe this. But the other two vehicles will be not but renders. Okay. I also believe. All right. So this is fair. The title had me misled. I do think Tesla will have something to show off. And I do think that they might take this time to show off what's happening in the future. And I'm not against that. But Tesla has a really bad track record of honoring their dates. And I can give them a little bit of a pass. You know, COVID happened, things got more expensive. The Cybertruck eventually came, but there's still cars that they have announced before the Cybertruck that still haven't come out yet. So they're shaky on their promises, and I think they feel pressured to put out promises because they're too addicted to their stocks. And I think that's a problem. And I think that this early release, you know, I suspect that this thing isn't ready. If this thing launches within a year in at least one city, okay, I will say I was wrong. I would say Tesla, they had it planned out, they had it figured out. But it has to be in 2025. It has to be in at least one city. That's a very low bar. If it's not in 2025 and it's not in at least one city, I'm going to just permanently write this off as them trying to boost up their stock numbers by announcing something that they're not ready to launch. Okay, so we got 4 minutes left. This next article says Tesla Robotaxi event. Analysts weigh in on what to expect from CEO Elon Musk's big moment. Wall Street analysts are weighing in on what they expect to hear from Tesla Thursday night at the company's We Robot event. I think that's not a great name. I know it's kind of be like iRobot, but they could have done better. While most don't expect a fully functional robotaxi that can be deployed right away, that's fine. It's what CEO Elon Musk and Tesla can do to paint a picture of autonomous self-driving that the company envisions for the next 5 or 10 years. No, next 1 year. You don't get that pass. Possible leaks have already surfaced suggesting Tesla may strike a robo delivery deal with DoorDash, for instance. I didn't know about that. That's news to me. Adam Jones of Morgan Stanley, who named Tesla his top pick in the auto space, has nonetheless advised clients to keep expectations well managed for the event. What will most likely be on display is a demonstration of the latest iteration of full self-driving software and a demonstration of a fully autonomous cybercab in a closed or semi-closed course. Jonas wrote last month, but in a more recent note last week, Jonas said investors may hear more about how those cybercabs or robotaxis will be deployed. If they do that in a closed course, I'd be okay with that. I want to see this thing in action. I want to see how far they've come, and I want to see how much time we have, right? Like paying attention to these things, it really does help put your perspectives in line if you're honest with yourself. A lot of people are still out there in denial, and maybe I believe a little too much into it, but I'd rather believe too much and prepare than to be in denial and not be prepared. It says it's our expectation that Tesla will offer a dual approach with respect to autonomous ride sharing. The fully autonomous app based on a cybercab and a supervised autonomous FSD rideshare service. Okay, we think the latter of these may get the most attention or have the greatest room to surprise investors. Let me absorb this for a second. A supervised autonomous FSD rideshare service. The fully autonomous app-based cybercab. So I think that this would be, hey, I'm Tesla. I made this cybercab. Go out, pick people up, and make me some money. That's the Waymo approach. And then a supervised autonomous FSD rideshare service. I think that's where people who have Teslas will be able to put their cars on the platform to go and pick people up. But it sounds like they got to be in the car. You know, and if you got to be in the car, unless it's paying significantly better than Uber and Lyft, what's the point? What's really the point here? But we'll see. In fact, it's 9:59, and let's see if they're started yet. They haven't. So this is the YouTube channel. There's also the X. I have both links pulled up here, just in case one works or we run into some issues. But I guess we should be able to hear it once it starts. So we'll keep going with our stories. Gotta figure out where I was. Pretty much the end. Whoa. If you guys have any questions, my mic is bugging. Hold on. In my pinned link, I have my clips channel. I know that not everyone has the time to sit down and watch long podcasts. So what I've done is I created a clips channel where I can just cut up the clips from the different podcasts, throw them up there so I can get information to you guys more quickly. I've been driving a lot, and I'm not able to make the videos I really want to make. I have a couple planned, and I'm trying to get into them. I'm gonna spend some money, buy a laptop so I can do some editing while I'm driving or while I'm out on the road. But I really want to be debt free very soon, hopefully by like next summer. And so I'm just putting in more hours, and I know that there's a winter slowdown, and so I'm taking the opportunity to make as much money in the last month of busyness for my market. So, and I want you to do the same too. We know winter is slow. We know it's going to slow down. Do what you have to do. Make as much money as you can. Get on a budget, and just keep pushing forward. Well, we're all playing the same game. We're all playing against the same monster. We just live in different cities, different markets. But I want you guys to make it through this, right? I want you guys to break through financially. So that's what I'm trying to do. And for the sake of my family, sake of myself, I have to put my income before the YouTube channel, right? So I have to go out there and make the money. But once I'm debt free, I'm gonna have a lot of time and I'm gonna be making a lot of videos. But and I'll also make more videos over the winter. But for now, go subscribe to the Clips channel. The videos that pop up there, they won't be as edited. The thumbnails won't be as great. The purpose of that channel is just so that I can throw videos at you guys for those of you who aren't able to be here on the live stream or rewatch the entire live stream. I'm gonna mute it for now because the music's really bad. See if I can pull up a separate tab. I want to see what people are saying as we're watching this on the internet. Someone says they think this is what the Tesla stock is gonna do. I got to turn the volume up a little bit just so I know when it's starting. I don't think that I think Tesla stock is actually getting hammered, but it's weird. It's like you historically you don't bet against Tesla, you don't bet against Elon, but you know even Rome fell. And okay, of course you guys should not be putting any money into Tesla stocks if you're not debt free, have a house, Um, and just genuinely have your money together. I don't recommend investing until you're at least debt free, not including your house, and you have at least 6 month emergency fund because we're independent contractors. If you have a job, you can do 3 months. That's fine, but I don't recommend. I'm gonna turn this down for you guys. I don't recommend playing the stock market game until you have those things set. Okay, so this is the interesting one. See if I can zoom in a little more. So I guess this is a thread of the promises that Musk has made. So we're going to read through them. It says Musk in 2019, next year for sure we will have over 1 million robotaxis on the road. I didn't even realize he was promising this since 2019. That's a long time ago. That's 5 years ago. That's how long I've been in Charleston. Musk in 2020, I think we could see robotaxis in operation next year. Not in all markets, but some. 2021, I'm highly confident the car will drive itself for the reliability and excess of a human this year. 2022, I would be shocked if we don't achieve full self driving safer than human this year. So I will say, self driving cars are safer than human cars currently, right? It could change, things happen, but humans aren't safe drivers. But I think part of the stigma is humans would rather make their own mistakes than to be responsible for the mistakes of others. And I get that. But I don't know. Insurance is becoming extremely expensive because we suck at driving. Humans suck at driving, and we all are paying for it. In 2022, I would be shocked if we do not achieve full self driving. We've read that. 2023, now I know I'm the boy who cried full self driving, but man, I think we'll be better than humans by the end of this year. So that was last year. And this summer, obviously my predictions on this have been overly optimistic in the past. Next year seems highly probable to me. I would Elon is the type of person who gets things done, but I would rather he be honest about why things aren't getting done. Like talk about those struggles. Talk about why you haven't gotten this where you want it, right? But reading this like doesn't reaffirm to me that today is going to be a day where we'll see Tesla's robotaxis on the streets by next year. I'm gonna bet that this doesn't happen in 2025. I'm gonna bet that Waymo keeps pulling forward. They keep generating passengers, and I think Tesla is dropping a ball. They're dropping their own ball, which is better for us as drivers. But it's I don't I'm not. They have to shock me. They're gonna have to shock me with this event. Okay, so this looks like some behind the scenes for the press that Tesla has invited there. It says Tesla brought out all the big guns for this one: 5-star catering, open bar for suppliers, Elon friends and family, and some notable businesses. We haven't seen anything at this level for a while. 10 out of 10 Robotaxi. I mean, great food is cool, but you're gonna have to deliver the thing that people all came for. So here's a concept of the Tesla Robotaxi. I don't know if this is like official. This might be based off of like the camouflage thing. This is the one I had for the thumbnail. I changed the color to red. But you know, and it doesn't look as bad as the Cybertruck. There are other cars that look pretty good, but if it's something like this, that's cool. That's dope. That's ugly. It, it better look like that, not like that. That's ugly. This is real ugly. I do think we'll hear a little more about the not the Cybertruck, the Tesla semi truck. The Tesla semi truck low key makes me want to become a CDL driver. It does look like an interesting time. Yeah, come on, man, they're wasting my time here. I need to wake up early and drive tomorrow morning. And I honestly, I think I'm missing out on a lot of money just by having this live stream. I know that there's a Disney event tonight. I think it's like a musical or something like that, and it should be ending soon. And when those events let out, there's a lot of money to be earned, and here I am. So I'm gonna be really sad if I lose money and nothing good comes of tonight. But I'll show you what I'm looking at now. So this is Charleston right now. You can see some little surges popping up. It's not unusual for Thursday. Around 10 o'clock is when people are like going home from the bars. The first wave of people, like your people who went out for dinner and drinks, around 10 o'clock is when they'll go home. They usually have kids that they have to take care of, take to work or whatever they have to do. And then it'll die down for a little bit. Then around 11:30, it'll pop back up. That's usually like, I guess, people without kids who still have commitments for the next day. And then like 12 o'clock, 12:30, 1 o'clock, that's like your college students who probably should have went home a long time ago. And then around like 2 o'clock, 2:30, you have the workers who are servicing those people going home. And then it's dead for like an hour, and then it becomes airport time. So I probably will, after this event, do some editing, throw up some clips maybe, but then I'll head out, try to get some of these airport rides, and I like to do the airport rides, and then I'll stay downtown for traffic, and maybe like around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock a.m. I go home, take a break, and then rest up for the night shift. But I'm definitely sacrificing some sleep right now, so I'm gonna have a long day tomorrow. But that's okay. I haven't made content in a while, so for anyone who's just tuning in, we are waiting for the event to start. I have the music in my ear from the event. I turned it down on the stream, so I know when it's gonna start, and we're just waiting. It's been 14 minutes, and they haven't started yet. Someone showing what the Tesla event looks like. Looks like it's outside. Oh yeah, it's in Hollywood, so this looks like it's on a set. That makes sense. If they're doing the Tesla demo on a Hollywood set, that's pretty. It's pretty smart. It's enclosed. It's controllable. It's not a bad idea. They have the space they need. I was wondering why they did it in California instead of Texas. You know who else is here? MKBHD. I'm gonna see if he's live tweeting what's going on. This is my favorite YouTuber. It doesn't look like he doesn't look like he's live tweeting yet. Wow, almost a million people are watching the live stream on X. Let's see what they're doing on YouTube. I think I might have. Yeah, I have it. Here it is. 100,000 watching on YouTube. So we have 1.1 million people. Well, I guess no, but we have a little over a million people watching right now. That's insane. On a 10:15 p.m. EST. Whew, it's cold. Got shivers. People were handed a Tesla map. Westworld, New York. It's weird. You know what I think's about to happen? I think that Tesla is about to service all these people and take them to different parts of the park in the Robotaxi. Right? And just remember, I did say that I think that they will have Robotaxi demonstrations, and it's not just going to be renders. All right, so someone says Uber is dead. Here's my reflections on Waymo. I've been in San Francisco for just over 1 week, during which I've taken 7 rides with Waymo, a similar number with Uber, and a few with FSD Tesla. Wait, what? Oh, FSD Teslas. Okay. I thought he was talking about the Robotaxis. He says, my journey to SFO via Uber was alarming. The driver veered out of the lane multiple times and nearly crashed on a ramp, seemingly vying for a 1 star rating to genuinely scare me. Conversely, my experience with Waymo were virtually flawless if you don't consider overly cautious driving a fault. So someone best described Waymo's driving to be similar to a teenager where, they're it's safe. They just lack confidence. So that kind of matches this guy's take on his experience. Conversely, my experiences with Waymo were virtually flawless if you don't consider overly cautious driving a fault. I experienced a minor hiccup when we got stuck behind parked cars because the vehicle thought they were queuing at a red light. It quickly resolved itself and the confusion and moved on, which was rather amusing. Waymo and other level 5 autonomous vehicles are poised to revolutionize the movement of people and goods. The most apt analogy I can think of is that Waymo is transforming the real world into an automated Amazon warehouse with people as the goods and Waymo vehicles as the robots shuttling them all around. With the advent of personal transportation becoming incredibly affordable, sending anything from point A to point B using self driving electric vehicles will soon be within easy reach. One of Waymo's standout features is privacy. Riding in an Uber often means being subjected to the driver's loud group chats or some app making the journey neither quiet nor private. I don't have this issues. Guys, are you doing this? Are you the type of person who just has your phone blaring with their notifications in the sound system? I don't do that. I put my phone on silent. In contrast, Waymo offers a fully private experience, allowing you to have confidential phone conversations or chat freely with fellow passengers without distractions. I do like listening to people's phone conversations. Waymo also reimagines the concept of a car without the need of a driver, as we eliminate the front console to reduce weight and remove the steering wheel. So this is one benefit that if Tesla executes well on with their Robotaxi that we'll see today, they'll be able to make a cheap Robotaxi. Current estimations are about $30,000, and they'll be able to keep it cheap because it won't have to have some of the other components that human drivers need to drive a car. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like on the inside. He says this opens up possibilities for passenger seats to be reoriented, perhaps facing backwards, or for the vehicle to become a mobile living room. Tomorrow's vehicle designs will differ drastically from today's. Destinations that are currently expensive and logistically complicated to reach via taxi Uber, often laying outside public transportation routes, can be simplified to a single Waymo journey. I'm not really sure what he means by that. This could shift the current model of Uber plus public transport plus Uber to a more streamlined experience. uh, he's falling off. I think he's stretching. I think he's saying that, oh, if you take an Uber, you then have to take like something else after the Uber and then get back into an Uber. But I don't see why that would be different for a self-driving car, right? Like if you live in New York City, you take a car to the train, and then you take your train and take another Uber. I don't I don't understand why you would suddenly not have to do that if it's a Waymo. I don't understand that at all. As more cars become self-driving, we could see a reduction in the amount of time cars are parked from 99% of their lifetime to just perhaps 25%. As more cars become self-driving, we could see a reduction in the amount of time. Sure, yeah, but like, what significance is this? I don't see it. feel like he's running out of good points. This not only improves unit economics, but could also decrease the number of cars on the road. Uh, I'm not following his logic here. This transition represents one of the most significant shifts for Generation X. In conclusion, the future is autonomous, electric, and efficient. Uber as we know it is dead. Uber as we know it is dead. Every year, the Uber as we know it dies. So, you know, I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna be clever and say that. Every year, Uber as we know it dies. All right, let's get off this guy's response. It was good in the beginning, but he kind of like rambled too much. All right, bro. Like it shouldn't take 20 minutes to start. Now that's a good render of the Cybertruck, a Robotaxi. Trying to make it full screen. Here we go. All right, so this looks like a good thread or post, I should say. Can't say thread. This is what is his name? Kyle Vogt. He says at Cruise, I built robotaxis that completed 250,000 driverless rides, including the first rides ever in a major city. So for those of you who don't know, Cruise are currently not on the market because it ran over someone because a human driver hit a human and the Cruise car drove over the hit human. So it's not funny. So they've been taken off the road since. With the Tesla event coming up, many people have asked for my thoughts. I truly hope they get robotaxis working. Autonomy is the fastest and most effective way to eliminate car accidents, and we desperately need this. I agree with him there. I agree with him on the accidents front. I don't know what we will see tonight. What I know is that it takes a non-trivial amount of work to go from making a car mostly drive without interventions to safe, robust, and legally compliant robotaxi network that meshes well with local communities. I see what he's saying. He's saying like once you have the technology, the rest happens, right? The rest is just gonna happen unless there's like government intervention. So he says here are 15 key things to look from with the new robotaxi players. Number one, getting stuck. Is there a method for remote operators to relocate unoccupied vehicles that are blocking traffic? Hold on. The music has slowed down. No, we're not ready yet. Dang. Dang. All right. That are blocking traffic or emergency vehicles. What happens if there are no available remote operators and the vehicle becomes stuck? That's a good point. You know, I actually I'd be interested in being a remote operator. Hopefully they're not like all sourced overseas. I'd be interested in checking that out. Let me see if that's a job. Self driving car operator. Of course, they'd have to be in a city I want to live in. Job openings. I show me paramedic shifts. Hmm. Okay, this looks like a lead. This job opening on ZipRecruiter for autonomous vehicle operators in Austin, Texas, which is where Waymo's going next. Royalty staff is currently hiring autonomous vehicle operators in Austin, Texas area for our what is that? No, don't I don't, bro. Just show me the job description. Okay, this is Austin, Texas for our client who is a growing ride hailing company. They're trying not to be uh transparent with who the client is, it's probably Google or maybe it's Uber. This is an excellent opportunity to be at the forefront of turning the company's vision into reality. We are currently hiring for multiple schedules with bonus pay for weekend and night shifts, 5% per hour bonus, and 10% for the weekends, for weekend nights. The day shift is from 7:45 a.m. to 4:15 p.m. The pay, let's see what the pay is. Well, here's the job description. As vehicle operators, you will support vehicle operations, drive 4 to 8 hours a day with a priority on safety. What is, I don't know what that means by drive. Like, are they behind the wheel? Are they like doing it from a computer? Conduct basic software operation tasks, support missions to a wide variety of roles in and out of vehicles, assist with documentation and metrics. This sounds like a lot. Provide accurate written and oral feedback to engineering teams, support vehicle maintenance and logistics, conduct daily basic vehicle preventative maintenance checks, services, and repairs. If that's a lot. I don't think they're paying enough for that. $25 an hour? That's not bad. That's probably what most, or not most, that's probably what the average rideshare driver is making after expenses. Hopefully, after expenses. Interesting. Let me see if I can find someone who works for one of these companies. See if I find one on Reddit that does it. Okay, so this guy, he's 2 years ago. He says he used to work as a man. This music is throwing me off. It's really bad. He used to work as a autonomous car driver. He says if you're a beginner, you get the crappy shifts like moonlight graveyard shifts, and you're expected to stay out there for majority of the time, except for breaks and mealtime. I used to work as one. I will answer what I can. So this sounds like he's someone who was in the self-driving car. He says if you get to open the laptop to do some troubleshooting, it's pretty cool as you get to see how the onboard computer is seeing the world. Almost all of these jobs require you to go through training, and you may get to do a 1 day driving course. Either they hire outside trainers or they get to go to Sonoma Raceway to take the lessons. That's kind of cool. Then there's the initial training, which I can't get into detail. Pay is decent in general for the stuff you're doing, basically just driving. And Zoox has great office perks, lunch provided free. Waymo's cheap and only has vending machines, though they do give you a limited stipend every week to buy stuff. That's pretty cool. But it's probably like you said, not a lot of money. Someone asked, what did the job entail? Were you just assigned to drive around a pre-planned route? Things are a little different with Zoox, who's using a two-person system for their test mules in San Francisco. So he was just kind of driving the cars around. You start out as the co-driver, but your real job is to watch the computer and call out to the person behind the wheel whether the car's sensors are seeing the same thing that they are seeing. I'm more interested in what these people who are remoting into the Waymo cars are making and what they're doing. Let's see if we can find something that's a little more recent. Let's do past year. All right, so it says that Waymo does not have any remote driving capability. They don't believe in remote driving because they don't believe it's safe. This could have changed. I'm pretty sure I've read stories where people were remoting in. I gotta turn this down. All right, 30 minutes and we're still waiting for them to start. It's supposed to start at 10 p.m. EST. This is insane. I'm getting annoyed. Oh, I want to show you guys this. I saw this on Facebook, and this guy shared his earnings. He made $1,179.16. His active hourly earnings was $86.26. Sounds great, right? But he was online for 70 hours. Let me pull the calculator out and let's figure out what his hourly looks like. And I have a huge point I want to make. How do I share this? I'll just do it in the browser. All right, so 1179 divided by 70 hours. So he averaged $16.84 per online hour, even though he made over like $80 per active hour. I think drivers are too focused on their hourly earnings, their active hourly earnings, and not enough on their online time. I strongly believe your time is valuable. And I know a lot of people are concerned with mileage and finding the best ride, but answer this question for me. Right? I worked about the same amount of hours as this guy last week. My active hourly earnings is $45.91. That's uh, like almost half of his active, right? My online time is 65, right? So about 4 hours less than his. But let's say both of ours are 70 for this. I made $2,433. He made $1,179. The assumption here is that he just stayed out all day and looked for the best rides. So he probably made more money than me per mile, but he made less money than me, right? I think he's too focused on what he's making per mile. He's too focused on cherry picking the best ride. And I think it's a sliding scale. And I think drivers need to put themselves more in the middle because, like, while you don't want to rack up crazy mileage, you don't want to be making like 70 cents per mile. You do want to value your mileage to a degree, but you need to value your time too. I strongly believe that there are drivers out there who are shooting themselves in the foot. They want to cherry pick the best rides, but they're spending so much time looking for these rides that it's not making sense financially. Like, which one would you rather? Do you want to be this person? Or do you want to be this person, right? And then we can make the case that maybe the car he drives isn't great on gas, and it has high repairability. But then my pushback would be, then get better tools for your job, right? I pay cash for my car. I've already made enough money that my like if my car were to die today, I already like it's already done its purpose. So that's why I'm not like as concerned about the mileage, even though I average like close to 2 miles, $2 per mile. But I think that, and this is where I say that I think upfront pay, in addition to Uber and Lyft taking advantage of us, some like our decision making when we see those rides, we're not making the best decisions for our pockets, you know. And I don't know, man. It just I feel like if he accepted more rides, he'd make more money, right? Mileage doesn't pay your bills. It doesn't buy food. The dollars you make buys food, right? So I mean, I can definitely behave that like this guy and only drive when the surges are on the map, but I'd be spending a lot of time out there doing nothing, man. And one thing I'm trying to focus more on is how do I get my active time to be as close to my online time. I want to stay busy, right? And I don't want to take bad rides. Like I average like an 80% acceptance rate. So I'm not just taking every single ride, but I feel like there's a middle ground, like you got to take some rides, you know? You can't just be out there for hours just watching rides pass you by, wasting your time. It's not It's 80 hours, like 70 hours. I don't mind people working 70 hours, but work 70 hours, like get paid for that. Don't just sit back and just like wait. So let's see, 1,179. Let's divide that by, I think we said 84. We'll call it $85 per hour. Or is that multiplying? Hold on. It's not multiplying. Is that so I think his active hours was 13. I think that's what this is telling me. He yeah. Yeah. So he had, we'll call it 14 hours of active time. So he was out there. He only drove 14 hours of active time, but he was out there waiting for 70 hours. Now, I will say this: if you're at home and you're waiting and you're doing other things or you're just chillaxing, that's fine. But if you're in your car, just out there on the streets, just waiting for 70 hours just so you can only drive 16, that's not okay. If you're doing that at the airport, not okay. I don't think that's okay. Unless you're filling your time with something else. But if you're not, mm-mm, we gotta make this money before the money's not here, and we already know that the money's decreasing. King on my throne says the Philadelphia market is too volatile. That might be true. I mean, I feel like all markets have their things. You know, you just have to like, for example, um, yesterday was the Post Malone concert here, and I saw drivers in the Facebook group saying that they went home because it was dead. But that's because they don't really understand what's happening. Like I made a lot of money in a short period of time last night. And you just have to be aware what's happening in your city. Like every Sunday night, not every, but I try to like every Sunday night look at all the events that's happening. I'll set calendar events in my phone so that I'm not forgetting them and I'm taking advantage of it. Like and then on top of that, right? It's October. I know that my market it it gets real slow in November and December. So I'm trying to make a lot of money this month. And every market has their thing. And you just have to figure out what that thing is, right? And then you have to plan around it. The more you plan, the better off you're going to be. And someone said to me once, we shouldn't have to do all that to make money with Uber and Lyft. But, you know, this isn't a conversation about what you should or shouldn't have to do. This is a conversation about either you do it or you don't. And here's the results of what happens when you do it. And here's the results of what happens when you don't, right? But we're still waiting for this stupid event to start. So while we're waiting, I can, um, I can actually pull up what other drivers have made in different markets. I'm getting hungry. Yo, it's 10:38. If they let a whole hour go by and they don't tell us what's going on, I'm gonna be really mad. Okay, so this is a solo app. It shows you how much money people are making in different markets. This is the Charleston market. What is today? Thursday? Yeah, I didn't work today. I took the day off. I've been going very, very hard. I took the day off to kind of to do this live stream, which is wasting my time, complete waste of my time. But it's okay. I'm currently ranked third in Charleston, despite that I took today off. So I've made, according to this, $905 so far. The person ahead of me has $1,052. The person on top of that person has $1,133. Let's check out Philadelphia. I'm gonna have to do some scrolling for a while. All right, so the top earner in Philadelphia has made $892 this week, which is not bad. It's a within range. of what I'm making, and that person is using Uber and Lyft. Number two has $826, and number three has $775. Let's see what they made last week. Yeah, that's not that great for a whole week. $1,609, $1,527. If you're in a volatile market, then I think it's even more important for you to figure out why. Figure out why it's slow, figure out why it's busy. And that will put you in a better position to capitalize on those things. I know you guys have sport teams as well. I don't know how much that impacts your market, but maybe you need to download the schedule for the Eagles, for the 76ers, right? It's Philadelphia 76ers. Is that am I making that up? And then add that schedule to your Google Calendar so you know when every game is, right? So you don't have to guess, so you might forget. And what other sports teams you guys have? What other events you guys might have? Oktoberfest. Let's go. Let's look. We'll go over here. Events in Philly this week. With the Fall Family Fest block party on North Front Street, wherever that is, October 12th. So that's this weekend. We got this music guy. I don't know who this guy is. Mike. I can't pronounce that name. Let's see. There's an events in Philadelphia page. You sign up for this. Make them email you every time there's an event that you need to know about. They have a top event page. Let's see what this says. There's an Our Fest parade and festival for Indigenous Peoples Day. Chinatown Night Market. It's Pride year round with a massive Our Fest parade. There's a night market on Thursday, so right now, tonight, maybe there's people out there shopping. There's the Scrapple and Apple Festival coming up. It even breaks it down by the days and the location. There's some helpful information out there. And 2 hours can make a huge difference on your day. Like the 2 hours and for my Post Malone concert last night, I made close to $300. I got my first $100 tip. It could be and sometimes there's a calm before the storm, and some drivers go home, and then if you just wait out, you just benefit off of it. There's a pickleball tournament. It looks like that's real loud. Hmm. But when it snows, it'll be busy there. But I suspect that outside of that, your winters will be slow too. At least the tourism part of Philadelphia will take a hit. Let's look at concerts in Philly. Ticketmaster's pretty good. So I just saw that I think it's a Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake says he's coming to Wells Fargo Center October 11th. So plan for that. Figure out and plan for it doesn't necessarily mean you go and you deal with the traffic that comes about because of the concert. What I like to do is I like to go downtown, which my stadium isn't downtown. I set an area filter downtown, so I stay downtown. What happens is all these other drivers get pulled to the traffic that relates to that concert, and then I just benefit from being downtown. But you could also just go early, but go before. Try to estimate when you think that concert's going to end. Go there and then sit there for a little bit, and as the bonuses start peaking up and getting stronger, you take your ride and you do what you got to do, or find cheeky ways to have passengers walk to you so you can avoid a lot of the traffic. That's what I did. I said, hey, can you meet me at this street? You meet me here. Both of us will get out of here faster. And they were very happy to do it. And that's the person that tipped me $100. So yeah, man, once a week on Sunday, I would just do a quick search, figure out what's happening in your city and add it to your Google Calendar, your Apple Calendar, whatever. And then it's just a good way. Like in my brain, I used to say, "Oh, I'll remember that event," and then I'll forget. So do that. And then you might have people who, like when you have a big artist in town, I found that people will fly there or they'll travel there and they'll do things before and after, right? And even before the Justin Timberlake show starts, people are gonna need rides there. And when you're doing rides there, typically traffic isn't as bad, so you can do a couple. And if you're the type of person to do cash rides, make sure you're doing it the correct way. But the type of person to do cash rides, you can drop those passengers off, and then you can like, hey, I'll come and pick you back up for X amount of dollars, you know. Or what I like to do is I always tell people to schedule their rides, and the scheduled rides has a big impact on when and where surges will appear. So even though I don't plan on picking them up, I just say, hey, oh, you're a tourist, make sure you schedule your ride when you're leaving Saturday morning at 4 a.m. And then I'm able to look at all the scheduled rides, and I know that like around 30 minutes, if there's like a cluster of scheduled rides in the same area, about 30 minutes from when those rides would start, bonuses start to appear. And then I use an area filter to stay in that area, not take them to the airport because that's far for me. I'll stay in that area and hopefully pick up small trips. Yeah, I'm really upset with Tesla right now. Let's see if anyone's complaining on Twitter. It's 47 minutes. We've been waiting for 47 minutes. Accurate. Me waiting for the Robotaxi event. Someone says, gotta love that Tesla never seems to start a live stream on time. Not a good look for whatever they're about to promise Robotaxis can do. 2.4 million people are waiting. Oh my god, my back hurts. I see people are waiting on YouTube. Still about 100K. Someone says every car company is going to have their own Robotaxi by the time this event gets started. Okay. So it says a person in the crowd had a medical emergency. We have taken care of it and will be starting shortly. Is this Elon here? So yeah, that's from Elon Musk. So let's see how long ago that was posted. 10:37 p.m. 10 minutes ago. All right, we'll see how long shortly is. All right, guys, I'm gonna take a bathroom break. Might as well. I'm gonna turn the volume for the stream up just in case it comes back while I'm in there.
Statements made in this presentation are forward-looking statements that are subject to risks and
Of course,
uncertainties.
my luck.
Actual results may differ materially from those projected. More details can be found in the written materials.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let
here,
me know if the volume is
everywhere,
good for you guys.
online, around the world, outer space, I'm Franz. And on behalf of everybody at Tesla, welcome to We Robot. Just want to thank outer space. I'm Franz. And on behalf of everybody at Tesla, welcome to We Robot. Just want to thank Warner Brothers for hosting us here. As you know, this is the birthplace of many epic films, many of them depicting a vision of the future. We're here tonight to experience that future that is closer than you think. And who better than Elon, right, to show us that future? So it looks like Elon's on his way, so let's
He's gonna show up in the Robotaxi.
Here.
That's the Cybertruck. No, it's not the Cybertruck. I guess that's the Robotaxi. It's not even in there. It looks just like the renders. No back window. I like the rims. I actually want to get those rims for my car. It looks sleek. It's not bad looking. There's a couple of them out there. I guess it's gonna go pick up more people. So the only problem I'm having right now is that this could all be like preset, right? This might just be recorded driving and not autonomous, right? It's a closed loop, something they had a lot of time to practice with, and they probably did a couple of rounds of this. So while it's cool to show this off in this manner, it's probably not indicative of how it will perform in the real world. Those headlights are pretty cool. I doubt they're useful, but they look pretty cool. All right, so did a lap. They should have had a camera inside the car with them. I would have liked to have seen that.
Welcome. Welcome to the Wii Robot Party. So we have quite a show for you tonight. I think you're gonna like it.
I've been waiting.
As you can see, I just arrived in the Robotaxi, the cyber cab, and there's 20 more where that came from.
That's cool. All right.
So they've been traveling. There's no people in them, as you can see. The car's just going by with no people.
So apparently they're driving around while he's talking. That's kind of cool. They do look nice.
And we have 50 fully autonomous cars here tonight.
He's like, my assumption is
So
probably
you'll
correct.
see Model Ys and the cyber cab, all
Cyber cab is what he's
driverless.
calling them.
You'll be able to take a ride in the cyber cab. There's no steering wheel or pedals.
That's that savings we were talking about
So I hope
earlier.
this goes well. We'll find out.
He looks good. He lost some weight.
So you see a lot of sci-fi movies where the future is dark and dismal, where it's not a future you want to be in. So, like, I love Blade Runner, but I don't know if we want that future. I think we want that duster he's wearing, but not the bleak apocalypse. We want to have a fun, exciting future that if you could look in a crystal ball and see the future, you'd be like, yes, I wish I could be there now. That's what we want.
Rideshare drivers don't feel that way.
So when we think about transport today, there's a lot of kind of pain that we take for granted that we think is normal. Like having to drive around LA in like 3 hours of traffic. Yeah, and for people that live in LA, I mean, try to get from Pasadena to, El Segundo during rush hour. It's like you can fly to, another city faster than you can get to cross town LA. So,
True.
And you have to drive the whole way. Unless you're in a Tesla, of course. Now, Tesla already does quite well at this, supervised self-driving.
They ran out of B-roll.
So supervised full self-driving is actually working quite well. I'm sure there's people in the crowd, you're using that, yeah? So we'll move from supervised full self-driving to unsupervised full self-driving, where the car, you could fall asleep and wake up at your destination.
Not legally. Well, I guess not yet.
So,
I don't know. I don't know how that works.
But there's also a challenge for a lot of people that cars cost too much. I mean, when you factor in everything that goes into a car and the car insurance and the car payments and the
See how much this
storage
costs.
of the car, it's very expensive. So with, and you say like how many hours a week are cars used? Your average passenger car is only used about 10 hours a week out of 168 hours. So the vast majority of the time, cars are just doing nothing. But if they're autonomous, they could be used, I don't know, 5 times more, maybe 10 times more.
Okay.
So
I know where this is going.
actually, for the same car, would have 5 times as much value, maybe 10 times as much value. There's 168 hours in the week, and like I said, only 10 of them are used for driving. So and then a bunch of those hours are looking for a parking spot, which is can be pretty annoying at times. So we want, with autonomy, you get your time back. This is a very big deal. So it's not just it'll save lives, like a lot of lives, and prevent injuries. I think we'll see autonomous cars become 10 times safer than a human. I mean, if you think of times past where there used to be an elevator operator in every elevator.
Yeah.
But once in a while they get tired and they accidentally shear somebody in half. So
He's dragging it.
now we have automated elevators. You just get in an elevator and you press a button, and you don't even think about it. And it just takes you to the floor. And if you did see an elevator operator with a big relay switch, you'd be like, that's weird. Now that's how cars will be. And it's not just the lives saved in injuries, but if you think about the cumulative time that people spend in a car and the time that they will get back, that they can now spend, well, I guess on their phones.
Yeah, I guess rideshare drivers can spend a lot of time at home now.
A movie, or doing work, or whatever you want to do. You can think of the car in an autonomous world as being like just a little lounge. You're just sitting in a comfortable little lounge, and you can do whatever you want while you're in this comfortable little lounge. And when you get out, you will be at your destination. So, yeah, it's going to be awesome. So
that's cool from a passenger perspective or someone who has to drive to work a lot. It's not cool for rideshare drivers.
So, in fact, I think the cost of autonomous transport will be so low that
those look really nice.
You can think of it like individualized mass transit. The average cost of a bus per mile for a city, not the ticket price because that is subsidized, but the average price is about $1 a mile. Whereas the cost of cybercab, we think probably over time, from the operating cost is probably going to be around 20 cents a mile. And price, including taxes and everything else, probably ends up being 30 or 40 cents a mile. So yes, and you will be able to buy one.
Wow. All right. Someone from the crowd shouted out, we'll be able to buy one. He said, yeah, we'll buy one.
Yes, exactly.
Let's see how much it costs.
We expect the cost to be below $30,000.
Expected.
Yeah.
That's not a bad price point for what this is, but it is a two-seater.
And I think there'll be an interesting business model where, like, let's say somebody is an Uber or Lyft driver today, where they can actually sort of manage a fleet of cars, and like
don't go into debt for this.
Manage 10, 20 cars, and just sort of take care of them like a shepherd tends their flock. You have your flock of cars, and you're the shepherd, and you take care of your flock.
That's
of cars.
That's a big investment. That's a lot of money.
Cool.
It's $300,000.
And I think it's going to be a glorious future. It's going to be really something special. So, yes, good, all excellent questions. We do expect actually to start fully autonomous, unsupervised FSD in Texas and California next year.
Okay. All right, Texas and California.
And that's with the Model 3 and Model Y. And then we expect to be in production with the Cybercab, which is really highly optimized for autonomous transport in probably, well, I tend to be a little optimistic with timeframes.
Yeah.
But in 2026. So, yeah.
2026.
Before 2027, let me put it that way.
Okay. All right.
And we'll make this vehicle in very high volume, and but well before that, you will experience a robotic taxi via the Model 3 and Model Y program, and Model S and X too.
I think that's fine. That's acceptable.
Your 3 and Y will achieve unsupervised full self-driving with permission in wherever regulators essentially approve it in the U.S. and then to follow
with permission is fair
outside the U.S.
That's a fair caveat.
So, and it's Cybertruck too. Yes, of course. Sorry, I don't want to forget. Yes. All our cars, basically.
But will we be able to put our cars on the platform at that point? Is what I want to know.
Let's not get nuanced here. All right, next slide.
I need these guys to stop interrupting.
So one of the reasons why the computer can be so much better than a person is that we have millions of cars that are training.
This must be actual
on
footage.
driving. So it's like living millions of lives simultaneously and seeing very unusual situations that a person in their entire lifetime would not see. But
It's kind of funny.
hopefully.
That's wild.
Yeah, exactly. So so with that amount of training data, it's obviously going to be much better than what a human could be.
That was close. I could see some humans not
live a million lives.
paying attention to these.
And it's also it can see in all directions simultaneously.
That's
and
like
it
that
doesn't
one.
get
I would
tired
have pulled it.
text or
That Mustang.
any of those things.
I would have crashed into it.
So it will naturally be, like I said, 10, 20, 30 times safer than a human, just for all those reasons. And I want to emphasize that the solution that we have is AI and vision. So there's no expensive equipment needed. So the Model 3 and Model Y and S and X that we make today will be capable of full autonomy unsupervised.
So you say.
And that means that our cost of producing the vehicle is low. Now, we are going to actually overspec the computer for the Cybercab. So our AI5 computer will be somewhat overspec'd. And because I think there's actually also an opportunity, sort of like an Amazon Web Services, where if the car is driving for 50 hours a week, there's still over 100 hours left. And there's a potential there to have a massive amount of distributed inference compute, where if you've got, like, say, a fleet of 100 million vehicles and a kilowatt of
100 million vehicles
inference compute, you have 100 gigawatts of compute, which is really quite substantial. And if it's there, you might as well use it. So, yeah, so that's...
What does that even mean?
That, I think, will make sense. So
he's being very cryptic on purpose.
So our autonomous future is here.
It's probably saying we can mine bitcoins with it or something.
We're trying to give you a sense of what cities will be like in the future. And when you get in, you'll see, like, it's really quite a wild experience to just be in a car with no steering wheel, no pedals, no controls, and it feels great. And we have enough vehicles here, so everyone should be able to try it out and experience the set that we've built here. It's a very big set, so it's like really, we've used several, I don't know, 20, 30 acres or something like that. It's really big. So it goes on, the ride's long. And we set it up to feel like a ride, like a park ride. So it'll be cool, and you'll get to experience it tonight. Something we're also doing is, and it's really high time we did this, is inductive charging.
Oh, that's cool. That's pretty dope.
The Robotaxi has no plug. It just goes over the inductive charger and charges. So, yeah.
But that means you got to buy one of those. That's cool. The self-cleaning robots. Oh man, they're really trying to take everyone's jobs.
So one of the things that is really interesting is how will this affect the cities that we live in? And when you drive around a city, or when the car drives you around a city, you'll see there's a lot of parking lots. There's parking lots everywhere. Parking garages. So what would happen if you have an autonomous world is that you can now turn parking lots into parks. And so we're taking the ing lot out of parking lot. Welcome.
That joke went over my head.
So there's a lot of opportunity to create.
What are they doing?
Green space in the cities that we live in.
Oh, there's another one? Another one? This is like public transportation.
Quite fantastic. Oh, and also, what happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than a Model Y?
Yo. I don't know how long this is gonna take.
The Robovan. The Robovan is.
Robovan.
This is we're going to make this, and it's going to look like that. Now, can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick.
I think rideshare is dead in 2026.
So this can carry up to 20 people, and it can also transport goods.
20 people.
So you can configure it for goods transport within a city, or transport of up to 20 people at a time.
I see governments buying this.
The Robovan is what's gonna solve for high density. So if you want to take a sports team somewhere, or you're looking to really get the cost of travel down to, I don't know, 5-10 cents a mile, then you can
5-10 cents per
use
mile.
the Robovan.
Cost down to 5 to 10 cents per mile.
But
Rideshare drivers are paid like $1.70 per mile.
This with the Cybertruck is we want to change the look of the roads. The future should look like the future.
All right, my expectations have been beaten.
So,
and the execs were quitting over this. They're not
robots,
confident in this.
So everything we've developed for our cars, the batteries, power electronics, the advanced motors, gearboxes, the software, the AI inference computer, it all actually applies to a humanoid robot. It's the same techniques. It's just a robot with arms and legs instead of a robot with wheels. And we've made a lot of progress with the
Those
Optimus.
hips don't lie.
And as you can see, we started up with someone in a robot suit, sort of down.
I thought it was an astronaut suit.
Progressed dramatically year after year. So if you extrapolate this, you're really going to have something spectacular, something that anyone could own.
Coming for all the jobs, the
So
manufacturing
you can have
jobs,
your own personal
warehouse jobs,
R2D2 C3PO.
the maids.
And I think at scale, this would cost something like, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000. Probably less than a car, is my prediction long term. Now, it'll take us a minute to get to the long term, but fundamentally at scale,
iRobot for
the
sure.
Optimus robot, you should be able to buy an Optimus robot for, I think, probably $20,000 to $30,000.
That's not a bad price.
So, and what can it do? It'll basically do anything you want. So it
That's
can
gonna replace jobs. $20,000 to $30,000.
babysit your kids. It can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the
I
groceries.
don't know about babysitting.
Just be your friend, serve drinks, whatever you can think of, it will do. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind. Yeah. Because I think everyone, of the 8 billion people of Earth, I think everyone's going to want their Optimus buddy. And there's going to be maybe two, and then they'll be producing products and services. I predict, actually, provided we address risks of digital superintelligence, 80% probability of good outcome.
80% is not enough.
Look on the bright side.
He's probably joking.
The cup is 80% full. The cost of products and services will decline dramatically, and basically anyone will be able to have any products and services they want.
I'm for that.
It will be an age of abundance, the likes of which people have almost no one has envisioned. It'll be something special.
You can start your own business and buy a robot to help you with your business instead of like relying on humans.
One of the things we wanted to show tonight,
it'll make it cheaper for
Optimus
the individual
is not
business.
a canned video. It's not walled off. The Optimus robots will walk among you. Please be nice to the Optimus robots. So you'll be able to walk right up to them, and they'll serve drinks at the bar.
That's gonna be cool to see.
and you'll directly. I mean, that's just it's a wild experience just to have humanoid robots, and they're there. You're just in front of you. So, yeah, with that, let's party. I love you guys too. If you look at that gazebo over there, let's
this does
get the
feels
party
Westworldy.
started.
If you guys haven't watched Westworld, go watch it. It's HBO. It's really good. I didn't expect this. So people in Texas, Austin specifically, you're gonna have like 3 to 4 different companies that plan to launch autonomous vehicles in Austin. If you are a rideshare driver in Austin, you're in danger. Even if this doesn't happen smoothly, right? It's Waymo has been proven. Tesla has a spotty track record for launching things on time. You need to do something. You have less than a year before the first self-driving car is like taking paid rides in Austin, Texas. You guys in Austin seem to be the future training ground of self-driving. It started out in San Francisco and LA, but it seems to be moving to Texas. And like I know Austin's not far from other major cities. Dallas, Houston. It's probably gonna get there too. You guys like need to get your finances together. You guys need to be able to pivot to whatever might happen, right? Even if like not everyone takes these things, but I would. Just the cool factor. I would at least try it. And if it works well, why would I go back? Right? And then if people start buying these cars, which they're gonna do it. Let's face it, they're going to go out and buy these cars, even though they can't afford them. And they're people who are really rich are gonna buy a bunch of them and create fleets that are now like in direct competition with Waymo, with Uber, with Lyft. Like if this has been a cool event, right? Tesla has a spotty record, and we don't really know if this will happen in the timeline they say it will. But even if, right, it comes out in 2026, that's a year and like 3 months from now. That's not far away in the grand scale of how long it takes for you to pivot from one thing to another. So I'm gonna go with that being said. It's late. I need to edit some videos. I'm gonna try to get some content out for this. Thank you for being here. And the pinned link is where a lot of the clips from tonight will go. So make sure you subscribe to the clip channel. It's a separate channel where I just make clips from the live stream and I throw them up. So if you've missed segments of this, make sure you check it out. It's pinned up there. And I will see you guys later. Make money, get on a budget, and hope for the best because this stuff is coming.